Welcome everyone to a very special City Council meeting, and I would like to call this regular meeting. It's not regular, actually. It's a special meeting of the City Council to order and state that all past and future council members are present through teleconferencing. And I'd like to ask if there are any folks here that are wanting to speak in public comment, which are for items that are not on the agenda. City Clerk, are there any folks here tonight?
Does not appear that anyone has typed their name in the question box.
Okay, thank you for that. And so then the public hearing item before us tonight is to codify the results of the general municipal election of November 3rd, 2020, and hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance 1686 and 1688. And so would Deputy City Manager Greg Herman and City Clerk Teresa Pennington please present the report?
Good evening, Mayor Harmon and members of the council. Before you today is a resolution declaring the results of the November 3rd City of San Luis Obispo general municipal election. On November 25th, County Clerk Recorder Tommy Gong certified the results of the November 3rd, 2020 general municipal election. Those results indicated that Mayor Harmon received the highest number of votes and was the candidate elected for the office of mayor. Andy Pease and Jan Marks received the highest number of votes and were candidates elected to the office of council member. In addition, Measure G20 received a majority of the votes in support of the measure and was declared approved by the voters. City Manager Derek Johnson will complete the report.
Thank you, Ms. Purrington. Also on tonight's agenda, Madam Mayor and members of the council, is the adoption of two ordinances. The first one will be the second reading for the essential services and transaction sales tax that was commonly known as Measure G20, and will essentially codify after the approval by a majority vote of the voters of Measure G20. The second item on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Council amending sections of the municipal code related to the Revenue Enhancement Oversight Committee to specifically add additional positions and for requirements related to some planning work and that will inform the council's future financial planning efforts. By way of background, more detail, the ordinance 1686 does extend the half-cent per dollar and enhances the local transaction sales tax by an additional 1 cent per dollar. It's at a total rate of 1.5% and will remain in effect until ended by voters. The second ordinance, as I mentioned, I'll go into a little more detail here, adds that language about the desired experience for residents being considered by the City Council to be appointed to the Revenue Enhancement Oversight Committee, and then adds a section directing the REOC to recommend long-term community service and investment priorities to the city every 8 years. And so if this moves forward tonight, we'll begin that process in earnest. Next slide. So with that, concludes our presentation tonight. And so the clerk and the city manager's office recommendation tonight is to approve the resolution declaring the results for 2020 and the 2 second readings for both Measure G20 and amendments to the Revenue Enhancement Oversight Committee sections, and staff's available to answer any questions.
First of all, yay for Measure G. I'm so grateful that passed. I'm guessing, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure that we're all super grateful for that. So thank you, community, for voting for that. All of your concerns and ideas and all of those things have such a better chance of coming to fruition with the resources that Measure G creates. So thank you for that. So grateful for that. Are there any questions from my colleague? No. Okay. And City Clerk, are there any questions from the public?
No, ma'am, they're not.
All right, thank you so much. So then would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move the staff recommendations for the resolutions.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Councilman. And Councilmember Christensen. City Clerk?
Councilmember Pease,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gomez,
Yes.
Mayor Herman.
Yes, and with that, it gratefully passes 5-0. So thank you again, community, for ensuring that we can traverse challenging times and create a better community here. So super excited about that. And now it's a true honor to introduce Bea Makikau, director. She's a director of student diversity and belonging at Cal Poly, and she is going to really ground this really important night with some words. So Bea, please take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. So hi, everyone. My name is Bea Makikau, pronouns she, her, hers. And as the mayor mentioned, I'm the Director of Student Diversity and Belonging at Cal Poly. And I've also recently been serving as the facilitator for the San Luis Obispo Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force. I'm honored to be here with you all tonight to swear in our mayor and our new city council. I'd like to start by acknowledging that the land on which we virtually gather carries the heritage and culture of the indigenous people of San Luis Obispo County, the Yaktitu Yaktulhini Northern Chumash tribe. We honor the indigenous people's connection to these territories and respect the land on which we gather today as uninvited guests. As we live and learn on these territories, we must keep in mind that decolonization and recognition expands beyond statements. Acknowledgement by itself is a small gesture and becomes meaningful when coupled with authentic relationship and informed action. The last two sentiments of what I just shared are where I'd like to start. Authentic relationship and informed action are at the crux of how I believe our mayor and city council will lead as we propel the city of San Luis Obispo forward in the name of justice and equity. Our city has long been prided as the happiest place in North America to live. I'm hopeful that we are at a point in time with the necessary leadership where we can critically examine that claim with integrity and fearlessly confront the ways in which that perception has failed our most marginalized. That is the heart of equity work. It is, as Angela Davis puts it, acknowledging the inadequacies of the conceptual tools that perpetuate our comfortability and thus our complacency. By pulling back the veil on our community that is conceptually the happiest place to live, we can begin to make inroads on being a community that is in practice, a place where all members, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, or ability, can find joy. Today, we find ourselves in the midst of two pandemics, one fueled by a virus, the other fueled by structural and systemic racism, both of which have only further elevated the call for San Luis Obispo to create and recreate policies, practices, traditions that center diversity, equity, and inclusion. I believe it is important to recognize that in this critical moment, we are led for the first time in San Luis Obispo's history by an all-woman identifying mayor and city council. In this moment, I can't help but feel a juxtaposition of pride and desire for further progress. As a queer woman of color, I am pleased to see women standing in their power leading our city, each in their own way pushing back against the perceptions of femininity and a woman's place, which for so long prevented us from reaching a moment where this could be possible. Still, however, I'm forced to ask myself, how much longer for our Black, Indigenous women of color? How much longer for our trans and queer community? How much longer until we see ourselves in every one of the people who leads our city? Those are the questions that remind me that we must lift as we climb. Those are the questions that should inspire us to keep moving forward, to be bold in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because there is still so much work to be done. It was 27 years ago today when the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg was sworn into the Supreme Court. And she spoke of how a person's position as a woman and a possessor of power often confuse society, because there could be no possibility in which the two were synonymous with each other. RBG said then, times are changing. I say today, times have not quite changed enough. We have the incredible opportunity to infuse into the fabric of our community a reinvigorated commitment to equity and justice for all. Equity is the path to a city that is invested in its community. Equity is the path to a city that centers diversity and inclusion, not only in who we are, but what we do. And equity is the path that I believe Mayor Heidi Harmon and our city council are on. I ask of you, my fellow community members, will you join them? Individually, we must acknowledge that we, along with our leaders, play a significant part in cultivating the culture of our community. It is the power of 1,000 small actions that leads to a great push in bending the arc towards justice. That is a community Mayor Harmon can lead us in, and that is a community I can believe in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for grounding this in that. And all of your work with the diversity task force and all of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm just feeling your speech just makes me feel vaguely heartbroken that we're virtual. Everyone to hear that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So-
We do our best.
Yes. And it's recorded. So people that want to be inspired, they'll do well to check out this amazing city council meeting that's happening right now. And now I would like to recognize Council Member and Vice Mayor Aaron Gomez and read a proclamation for Councilmember Gomez, recognizing his dedicated service and commitment to the community while on City Council. Whereas Aaron Gomez was elected to the San Luis Obispo City Council in 2016, which doesn't that seem like 100 years ago now, and was appointed by his fellow council members to lead in the role of vice mayor in 2020. And whereas prior to serving on the city council, Councilmember Gomez served as a board member of the Downtown Association Board, the Economic Development Committee, and the Slow Under 40 Advocacy Group Steering Committee. And whereas in his capacity as a council member, Aaron Gomez has participated in regional and community-wide organizations, including the Integrated Waste Management Authority, or the IWMA, where he served as a board president, and the Cal Poly Campus Planning Committee and Downtown Slow Board, where he served as a liaison. And whereas Councilmember Aaron Gomez has continually expressed his strong lifetime commitment to sustainability and has focused on making systemic and structural social shifts in the way that we live and work in order to address the global climate crisis. And whereas during Councilmember Aaron Gomez's tenure, vital infrastructure such as the biodigester was built, which is one of the most advanced systems to convert green and food waste to energy. And whereas Councilmember Aaron Gomez has also supported the Slow Climate Coalition and has been a key influencer in shaping policy and strategies to meet the City Council's adopted goal of carbon neutrality by 2035. And whereas over his many years of service to the community of San Luis Obispo, Councilmember Gomez has reached out and engaged all of the community to understand and incorporate many perspectives and views. And whereas Councilmember Gomez has consistently conducted himself both as a council member and a community member with the highest levels of civility, respect, integrity, collaboration, and love of community that he was raised in and loves, serving as an example of the best of government leadership and an inspiration to others to assume leadership roles. And whereas Aaron Gomez's term on the City Council of San Luis Obispo will come to a close on December 1st, today, 2020. Now, therefore, I, Heidi Harmon, Mayor of the City of San Luis Obispo, on behalf of the entire City Council and the citizens of San Luis Obispo, do hereby express sincere appreciation and gratitude to Aaron Gomez for his dedicated public service and commitment to the community as a council member, and extend best wishes for his continued success and happiness in all future endeavors. And with that, I would like to invite Council Member Gomez. Well, actually, do we have public comment? We have a certificate of recognition, Teresa. I'm not sure how that gets presented. And then we also have public comment regarding outgoing Councilmember Gomez. And I know we have a couple of videos, so maybe we'll do that first, Aaron, if you don't mind, before you speak, if that works for you.
Yeah, that works great. I like the certificate.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here are the cool things that you have. So let's talk about that. Have you already seen these, Aaron?
No, this is the first time I've seen it.
Oh my God. So the message, loud and clear: plastic's worst enemy. Did not want some sort of garbage, trophy or what have you. So I think is it a hoe and a shovel? But it's engraved. Thank you, City Clerk. This is what city clerks train for at these moments. It's engraved, it's embossed, it's very, very special. And we are just so excited to come over to your permaculture farm and have probably a harvest of some type. It's at one point where the harvest is happening and it's safe to do so. So I don't know where these are located right now. They're probably at City Hall, but this is what your future is going to be encompassing these amazing tools that are gifted to you with love and respect and appreciation. So let's get the public comment, Teresa, if we can, and the videos that were shared.
Okay, and to allow the public that's online to submit their name if they'd like to do public comment, we're going to run the videos first. Our first video is from the IWMA.
This is Brooks from IWMA. On behalf of the entire board and the citizens we represent, I'd like to say thank you for your service and leadership these past 3 years. One of the most important characteristics of leadership is to walk the talk. And without a doubt, your personal commitment to the environment inspires us all. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors and are looking forward to some great organic produce. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, our next video is from the Slow Climate Coalition.
Hi, Aaron. The leadership team of the Slow Climate Coalition would like to thank you for 4 years of service to the city of San Luis Obispo, and each of us would like to share our appreciation.
Hi, Aaron. I really share your passion for our fellow human beings and our planet. And I was always so inspired by your poignant philosophical insights for us as we left our meetings to do our work in the community. And we so appreciate everything that you've done. We love you.
Aaron, thank you for all your work for the city and for the Slow Climate Coalition. I especially appreciate your focus and your work on resource management and zero waste, your love of the outdoors and of all board sports, and your intentional alignment of your life with your work, with your servant leadership. Thank you so much.
Hey, Aaron. I want to thank you first and foremost for your integrity, your honesty, and your absolutely unwavering commitment to a better world, a just world at large for everyone. I personally want to thank you because if it weren't for a quick phone call to you and you're returning my quick phone call, I would never have met this group, or I wouldn't have met them as soon as we had. So truly thank you for that. And I look forward to your next chapter. I look forward to a continued relationship with you and the work that we'll get to do outside of our official roles. So rock on, buddy. Thanks so much.
Hi, Aaron. Thank you for your encouragement and your inspiration. When we first met, I was one of the newest members of the Slow Climate Coalition leadership team, and we connected over your love of climbing. I view fighting climate change as a lot like rock climbing. It's challenging, but very rewarding when you just take one step at a time to accomplish that goal. So thank you for all of your hard work, and we will continue to fight the good fight.
Aaron, thank you so much for your climate leadership and being so influential in showing cities and counties what exemplary action looks like. I so appreciate your positive perspective whenever you shared reports of what was going on or at the end of our meetings, and it helped me be inspired to keep up the actions that we all take and being together on this team. So thank you so much.
Aaron, I just have to say, I've always been impressed with your dedication to the environment, with your moral clarity on the steps that have to be taken to get there. And as a personal note, I've always found you a role model for me in terms of your ability to run a business and serve on the council and all these other boards that you serve on. It's really impressive, man. And just like these guys, I also love board sports and climbing. So I look forward to some of that with you now that you got a little more time. Thank you.
Aaron, you're one of my personal slow heroes, and I wish you luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Aaron, thank you for being a liaison to the Slow Climate Coalition. Thank you for your inspirational closing remarks at the end of our meetings. And thank you for helping to handcraft each of our Climate Champion Awards. You are a friend of the Climate Coalition and you're a personal friend of mine, and your voice and leadership will be missed on the Slow City Council. Best of luck in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Good luck with everything.
That is adorable. That was great. I loved that. That's all. Many of my favorite people were on that video, so that was particularly nice. So now, City Clerk, you said there are no other public speakers, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So then we will circle back to council, and I'm going to start with Councilmember Pease to share any thoughts that you have about Councilmember Gomez.
Thank you, and I'll be brief, but Aaron, I do want to reflect on when 2016, when you and I were both running, and talked about this moment before, but we went out for coffee just to get to know each other as candidates, and we both kind of came out of there, and I was, so excited that we were like, yes, triple bottom line, yes, environment and business, they go together, and just feeling like I want to serve with that guy, and it came true, and it has been true. I've been so inspired by your commitment to maintain those values and work within this crazy structure that we have of local government, and just bring your both humor and insights to this adventure. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Councilmember Pease. Councilmember Stewart.
Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Well, I actually had to, as you probably saw, Aaron, I had to post about you today or yesterday, because when I was thinking about all the things I was grateful for this year, I thought about 4 years ago when, you graduated Leadership Slow with Shay, and I was getting to know you and thinking, who is this guy? And as you continued your process and ran and won, I was so happy to get to know you. And you continue to push me in a way that I greatly appreciate on the environment. And at the same time, our conversations have always been respectful. And even when we completely disagree, we still have a great conversation. And I really appreciate that. That's far and few between these days. And I wish you the best in everything that you're doing going forward. And I wish you the best in your business and whatever may happen. I'm excited to see where you end up with the yurt, et cetera. And I know you'll be back involved in government or in community in some way, shape, or form. So thank you for all of your service and all of your time.
Thank you, Councilmember Stewart. Councilmember Christensen.
Hi, Aaron and I have a secret and imaginary pact to not spend a lot of time talking during council meetings. So he knows how much I appreciate all the things he's done and all this dedication and how much he's inspired me and taught me. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Paul.
I don't know if that's a Brown Act violation that you just admitted to, Carlin, but I appreciate that.
It was an imaginary one in my own mind.
I see. Yeah, we all have a lot of unspoken contracts with people. I get that for sure. I am so used to being the so-called most radical person on climate change in any given space at any given time for so many years. And I just so appreciate how much you have grounded so much of our decision-making in the realities that we face, which so few of us really are ready or wanting or willing to face. And it's been very heartening and emboldening, I think I would say, to be on council with you for the last 4 years and partnering on these really important issues of our day. And, I always call you plastic's worst enemy. And I think that's actually probably true, and I just appreciate your boldness and your clarity around naming what needs to be named and speaking what are often the unspokens. And I am just so grateful that we've been able to do so much in the last 4 years. And so much of that is grounded in your understanding and your willingness to speak to those things that are hard to speak to. So thank you so much for being part of this council. I feel like it's been a really important 4 years for the city and for this community. And so thank you for being an essential and crucial part of that. And like everybody else, I am excited to see what happens next for you. And it sounds like we're all angling to get in on the harvest. So just want to make sure that too. And so Aaron, now I would like to just offer the floor to you to share, I guess, what will be sadly and poignantly your parting thoughts.
Yeah, well, thank you all. What a 4 years it's been. What a year to end it on. 2020, that's will not be forgettable, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I just have an incredible amount of gratitude for obviously everybody that's on the screen right now. You guys have been a huge part of my evolution within the past 4 years, and we are the team that has been tasked with making a lot of those tough decisions that most people really don't want to make. But we've done it, and I think we did a good job at tackling some really big issues, especially when you look at the kind of the global stage that we've been on and we've been invited to simply because of our willingness to take that on. And I hope for the next 4 years, I mean, you're now entering into a new council that's again kind of groundbreaking and should be. We've had male domination of leadership for a long time, and it's gotten us here. And if you look at where here is right now, it's not the greatest of places. So I feel far better off the fact that there are so many more diverse leaders coming to the top, and this council is kind of exemplifying that. I think we'll continue to break those barriers, and glad to be a part of it. I don't know that I could exit without, kind of hitting some of the hard topics that we have to kind of dive into with the reality that we're facing. Like, we are in a pandemic that is an environmental result, I think, of humans' inability to really tackle that we're not living sustainably. We are not living in a way that we can continue on in this way. And oftentimes people will go, oh, it's population is too much, and it's not. You look at the numbers, it is not a population thing. It is how we consume. And by consume, I don't mean just food, literally all of our products, in a fashion that literally is leading to our own destruction. And I couldn't help but think with Bea's amazing words and kind of the expand beyond statements, a lot of this equity conversation that we are having is amazing and fantastic. But we have to look at that equity across all borders in the sense of we're doing this from a society that we're taking pictures with our iPhones, wearing our Nikes. Those iPhones and those Nikes were made in factories where, there is massive human rights atrocities. And we're not pondering our own choices when we're really trying to fight for these very noble, just causes. And I think we have to analyze how we do that in our own lives as well. We can't just sit up there and make a statement and go home and consume the products from a place that's literally practicing modern day slavery. It's like these are massive global issues. And obviously I got into this a little bit with the T-bid conversation because I think we're confronting some major issues about our own society that are real. Like, our lifestyles come at a massive cost globally. I just started listening to a new book about, rare earth metals, things that are in all of our green technologies and all of our technologies that we're using right now. These all come with massive environmental costs and human costs, but we don't think about them. We just take them for granted as this is the way that our lives should be. And we chalk it up to kind of quality of life that we hear so much. And I'm hoping as we go into some of these harder decisions in the future, we really narrow down like what is true quality of life that we're trying to adhere to, and what's the cost of that quality of life, and can we not scale back and look at what's enough versus this kind of normalization that we've gotten to with massive overconsumption. And I don't say this like flippantly. You look at the numbers, 40% of our food in the US goes to waste. Yet there's people in our country that go hungry every single day. It's like that in itself exposes that we have some major priority issues going on. I dug into, as I've gotten into this farming venture, I've looked at like, all right, what's the average wage of farmers? And it's like $60,000 a year. Half of farmers, you do that as a side job. But then you look at our entertainment industry or our professional sports industry, and you look at their average income, or bankers, or all things that really don't equate to life. Like, we could literally live without all of those things, but we can't live without farmers or teachers for that matter. And they're making a kind of a subsistence living in comparison. And just the only reason I'm saying that is because this exposes where our priorities as a society are, and we can't allow those normalizations to then dictate where we go as leaders of communities. And I think we run that danger when we get too siloed into thinking like, oh, these are normal, so it's okay, but we don't look at the downstream effects. And plastics has obviously played a massive role in that for me. And it also going to so many seminars and having so many conversations around the data, you start to look at the realities of our life, but then what the cost of that life is. And plastics by themselves, like, that is the next big issue we are going to have to combat along with climate change. There's actually a clear path to getting to carbon neutrality. It's not easy, but there's an actual path, and there's data to support it. There is no clear path to actually cleaning up the plastics in our environment. We have exponential growth in consumption and production of these materials, and they're literally having catastrophic effects that all of us are facing. Now, there's a reason that, PFAS is tested in our own drinking water because of the effects it has on the human body, let alone the effects that it has on all life forms. And, being in a time in which we're in the 6th mass extinction, I take all of those things very much to heart and seriously, and especially through leadership. Like, we have to bring that to the forefront of how we set policy. It may not be comfortable, but it's the reality we live in. We have 10 years, give or take, to make massive changes in how we live. A UN study came out in 2015 about our topsoils. We have 55 years left from this point. At that point, it was 60 years, but until 2020. We have 55 years left of topsoil. You can't grow food unless you have topsoil. But again, it's one of those things nobody's really talking about on a day-to-day basis. And we have to. Because if we don't make the major shifts now, when that gets to 20 years, it's already too late. So I know it's not very uplifting, but it's like that's what's been circling around in my head, as I come to the end, because I don't get to have these speeches anymore. And I don't. I'm hoping that helps invigorate some people to understand that, we all play a role in this process. And it starts really with our own lives. As much as we want government to fix everything, we can't. It does not move at a quick enough pace to solve the world's ills. And if we don't take it seriously at home, how do we expect, somebody else to take it seriously? So I hope that we can all look at our lives and see perhaps where we can simplify and think about the cost to other cultures, to other people, to other life forms for a certain amount of excess that we just want to do because we have the access to do. And then beyond that, I love you all. So thank you for participating in everything.
Yes, best ending. Thank you so much for that, Aaron. And we're hoping that this is not the last time we hear from you. You, like everybody else, can come and for 3 minutes at any city council meeting. So we hope to hear you. I'm sure we will hear from you many, many times going forward. So thank you so much for your service to this community, and I appreciate you. Thank you for that. Now, we will be administering the oath of offices. And so City Clerk Parrington will administer the oath of office for myself and Council Member Marks and Council Member Pease. City Clerk?
Madam Mayor, if I could please have you, Councilmember Andy Pease and Councilmember Jan Marks, please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay.
All of us at the
I, Jan Marks.
State your name.
Andy.
Hi, Andy Pease. I'm going to say muted, but I'll be moving my mouth.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend.
That I will support
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
The Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States.
To the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation.
I mean, can we have some mental reservation, city clerk, or, I mean,
None.
what legal
None.
option there? Okay. Let's
Or
have a motion
purpose
for
of
psychological
evasion.
reservation. City attorney, can we have a clause there without any mental reservation? Go ahead.
or purpose of evasion,
Or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and
then
I
I
will well and
faith-
faithfully discharge
the duties upon which
the duties upon which
I'm about to enter.
I'm
I'm
about
about
to,
to enter.
I furthermore agree
I
Furthermore,
further agree
to abide by the rules,
to abide by the rules,
rules
regulations, and laws
regulations, and laws
of the city of San Luis Obispo.
of the city of San Luis Obispo.
go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, city clerk. And let's start with Councilmember Marks. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. First of all, I want to thank the voters of the city of San Luis Obispo for electing me to office. It's a great honor. It's something that I take with no mental reservation for sure. And I also want to thank my husband, Stephen, who has been very supportive through the whole process, and my family, and my campaign committee, which was just really wonderful. I'm excited and I'm honored to be entrusted with this responsibility of representing the residents of my beloved hometown, San Luis Obispo. And I look forward to working with Mayor Harmon and the council members Andy Pease, Erica Stewart, and Carlin Christensen. This will be my 7th city council. And in times past, I've been frequently been the one and only woman. So I'm really delighted to be serving on San Luis Obispo's first ever all-woman city council. And I'm excited to see what our unique perspective is going to bring to the city as we tackle these very difficult issues that have been mentioned tonight, including fighting climate change, and ensuring equity and justice for all residents, being a welcoming community, and also helping the homeless, especially during this pandemic situation where we're telling people to shelter at home. And some people don't have a home. So I'm very concerned about all that. But I'd also like to thank my the 6 past councils that I've been on. And I want to thank them for all that they've taught me over the years about good governance. We may have had diverse points of view, often didn't agree with each other necessarily, but by engaging in frank and civil and respectful discourse, we helped form a stable and sustainable and trustworthy policy foundation and plan for the future of our city. As the saying goes, we see further by standing on the shoulders of giants. And I would like to thank some of my giants. Alan Settle, John Ewan, Dave Romero, the late Kenneth Schwartz, Christy Mulholland, Andrew Carter, Kathy Smith, Dan Carpenter, John Ashbaugh, Dan Revoir, and former and present City Council member Carlin Christensen for their heartfelt and dedicated service to the city, which has given this council so much to build on. I also want to say that I believe it is my constitutional and my moral duty to represent all city residents from all different backgrounds and points of view, including people who did not vote for me. One of the enduring strengths of our democracy is that after elections are over, the winners have to face up to the reality that they represent and have a responsibility for all of the people, not just their supporters. And I'd like to briefly quote Abraham Lincoln, President Abraham Lincoln, on this topic. He said, "I thank you in common with all others who have thought fit by their voices to endorse my cause. I rejoice with you in the success which has so far attended that cause. Yet in all our rejoicing, let us neither express nor cherish any harsh feeling toward any citizen who by his vote differed with us. Let us at all times remember that all citizens are of a common country and should dwell together in the bonds of fraternal feeling." He also said, "We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic chords of memory will swell when again touched, as surely they will be by the better angels of our nature." And I think that's a wonderful quote. It's something to remember that we do represent everyone in the city, regardless of age, gender, race, homed or not homed, whatever, wherever the person comes from, they belong. They deserve to have our respect and not to be shamed or put down on any level for anything. So right now we are in this terrible situation with the pandemic. We're figuring things out and hoping that our community survives and with the least amount of illness and death here because of the COVID. So I think during this time, we need to draw courage and inspiration from the vision statement of the city of San Luis Obispo, which is in our general plan and which has endured for decades. San Luis Obispo's vision, I'm just going to not read the whole thing, just little snippets from it here. Our vision is of a sustainable community within a diverse and natural agrarian setting, which is part of a larger ecosystem upon which its existence depends. San Luis Obispo will maintain its healthy and attractive natural environment valued by residents, its prosperity, its sense of safety and community within a compact urban form. Our community will have a comprehensible scale where people know each other and where their participation in government is welcome and effective. The general plan is a benchmark in the continuing planning process, reflecting the desires of citizens with diverse backgrounds to sustain the community's qualities for themselves and for future generations. The city should live within its resources, preserve the relatively high levels of service, environmental quality, and clean air valued by its residents, and strive to provide additional resources as needed. So I'm going to stop right there, but I do think that this is an expression of some core values that have helped shape our city, and that they're evolving, of course, but they still influence our sense of place and the character of this city. So I'm going to conclude by saying that we have to seize this opportunity to deal with this pandemic and create a thriving future for the city of San Luis Obispo, and we need to work together for the common good. I personally will do everything I can to help us come through this pandemic, come on through on the other side, and become a stronger, more resilient, prosperous, and creative city. And I know we can do it, and we can do it together. I look forward to working with all of you on the City Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jan. And in a time of exponential change and constant news stream of challenges and ideas and solutions, it will be so welcome to have someone with the historical knowledge that you bring to this council. So thank you so much, and I'm grateful that you're here. Council Member Pease.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Councilmember Marks. That sounds nice. For your comments and bringing in that history as well as kind of current concerns. I appreciate that. Thank you to my campaign team. They're wonderful and supportive, and I had to be really creative. And to my family for putting up with all of this and supporting me along the way. Thank you to the staff at the city and especially the clerk's office. No small feat pulling this off, and it went really, really well. And I'm grateful for all the additional time and support that they provided for all of the campaign process. I'd like to thank the other candidates. There were 8 of us running for the 2 seats on City Council, and each one brought their own ideas and inspiration and gifts and ways to be thought-provoking, which is important. They challenged us and each other, and I think that's really important. So, and I'm grateful that people want to do this job, that so many people stepped up in order to put their hat in the ring and make their voices heard. And of course, thank you to the public. We had an astonishing turnout of voters, and that in and of itself, I often talk about how we, as a populace, have a frustration with feeling like, are we being heard at the federal level and at even the state level, and how do we enact change? And at the local level, it's right there. We are very accessible, and so to have almost 90% of our eligible voters vote just demonstrates the confidence that they have in local government, and to be able to reach out and know that things can happen. And within that context, I'm really humbled by the numbers. With 8 of us running, I'm proud and honored to be reelected, and I recognize that almost 2/3 of the folks who cast votes didn't cast one for me, and so I say with humility that I hear that. I'm aware that there are all these different opinions out there, and that diversity of thought contributes to our resilience. So I certainly I want to better understand a lot of the perspectives that we heard during the campaign, and the good ideas that were coming out, figure out ways to plug folks in and be able to do the work. We do have a lot of challenges right now, and so I think we all need to be in this together. And at the same time, the shared love of community came out time and time again, right? We love this city, we love this community, we love our downtown and our arts and culture and our nonprofits and our parks and open space, and how we can be with each other. So I'm thrilled to be back, and really appreciative of the value of local government and being a part of this team. I'm really looking forward to our time together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Pease. I am so grateful that you are returning as well. I just have had the great honor of not only being on council with you, but of traversing the summer of 2020, which I think will certainly go down in history, side by side with you in many occasions, and running for office in this incredibly unprecedented time with you. And just my admiration and love really for you has just deepened and grown. And so I'm so grateful that the community sees that too. And I'm excited to see what we can all do together moving forward. So welcome back. And I guess now it is my turn, so to speak. And so, it's an honor really to be able to address you tonight, San Luis Obispo, even though it has to be via Zoom, which tonight's swearing in has been the biggest moment for me in terms of COVID and just feeling sad about the lack of ceremony and being able to gather. So I'm sorry that it's via Zoom, and I'm sorry to my mother, actually, you know, who told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be when I grew up, that she can't be here tonight. And I'm grateful to be embarking on my 3rd term as your mayor. And so much gratitude to my team, and especially to Quinn Brady, who is the best friend a girl and a mayor could ever have. And thank you to everyone who stepped up to run for office this year in our city election. And to the stalwart city family, our staff, for their relentless hard work and dedication during this unprecedented time. And thank you to the community for your faith and trust in me. And to those of you that voted for me and voted for us, thank you. And to those of you that supported other candidates, I hear you, and I promise to work on your behalf as well. And I'm committed to continuing to work for all of us as we create a better San Luis Obispo together. The voters have reaffirmed that public health, economic resilience, housing, and justice and equity are our shared priorities. And the people of San Luis Obispo value taking a stand for what is right. So don't forget that. And while we have different points of view, at the end of the day, we are one community. We are San Luis Obispo first, united as neighbors, colleagues, and friends. And my hope is that together we will begin the much needed process of bridging the gap in our community and bringing together our different values and visions to give the next generation a better SLO, a better California, a better nation, and ultimately a better world. And my promise is to do my best to lead as Bea named, with authentic relationships and informed actions. And so congratulations to the first ever all-female identified city council. And I look forward to working with all of you to reimagine a bright future for our city. It has taken 170 years to get here, right? It has taken 170 years to go from an all-male city council to an all-female city council. And I feel like this is a perfect homage to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, when asked, when will there be enough women on the 9-member Supreme Court, responded with, when there are 9. And so now we are 5. In 1917, Queenie Warden was the first woman to run for mayor of San Luis Obispo. And while she did not prevail, we all owe her and all of our pioneering ancestors a debt of gratitude. And I am certain and hopeful that she is looking down on us all tonight with pride. This council is Queenie's wildest dream. And while we celebrate the first all-female identified city council, I recognize that I also have very many forms of privilege as a white woman in a position of power. And I understand that it took far too long for women to get here. So we must cast a vision for more swift equity. And I look forward to more people of color, Indigenous folks, transgender, and disabled leaders to join us on the dais. We are in one of the most complex moments in our history. People across our community are experiencing deep pain and fear and loss of businesses, of income, of classrooms, of family plans, of health, and at times of life itself. And these next few years will ask so much from each one of us. And we have been challenged to our core, and the pain is not over. This very month may be one of the toughest of our lives. And I want you to know that I am here with you, and that our dedicated city staff is here with you, no matter what. And we will be doing everything that we can to swiftly and creatively address the many compounding crises that we face. public health and safety, small business retention, meaningful remedies for folks that are living unsheltered, affordable housing, sustainable transportation, and climate action, all addressed with a lens of an economic recovery that leaves no one behind. There is such a long list of challenges that we face, but none is more pressing than the dilemma of division. And this election confirms that this community is ready to do the difficult and meaningful work of having the hard conversations. We can tell the truth about San Luis Obispo and still love it. We can tell the truth about the United States of America and still love it. And in fact, I think if we truly love this place, we must tell the truth about who we are in order to blossom into who we aspire to be. But we will not get there by fighting with each other. Because right now we're really presented with two very divergent roads that we can go down. The road of hatred and division, or the less traveled road of mutual respect and love. We can be a community where we can disagree without being disagreeable, where we ask each other with genuine curiosity, what is it like to be you? A city where we do not strive to a niceness that veils the truth, but rather a city that embraces an adventurous civility. The adventure of civility for our time can't be a mere matter of politeness or niceness. Adventurous civility honors the difficulty of what we face and the complexity of what it means to be fully human and alive. It doesn't celebrate diversity by putting it up on a pedestal and ignoring its messiness and its depths. The questions that perplex and divide us will not be resolved quickly. Civility in our world of ever-present change is about creating new possibilities for living forward while being different. And it includes at times continuing to hold profound disagreements. We are grappling with questions of meaning, deep meaning, and of how we structure our common life and who we even are to each other and to ourselves. And it seems right now that we are more divided than ever before, and we're unable to speak across differences. And so we must engage to create the world that we want for ourselves and for our children. And so how do we speak the questions that we don't even know how to ask each other? How can we find ways to cross the gulfs between us about politics and the meaning of community itself? How can we engage our neighbors who have become strangers somehow? I mean, can we do that while we continue to hold passionate disagreements on deep, contrasting convictions? Because it's up to us right now, where we are, where we live, right here and right now, to start having the conversations that we want to be hearing and creating the realities that we want to inhabit. San Luis Obispo, we, right here, right now, can be a city where we have more trust in each other than suspicion, where we are hard on issues, but soft on each other. A community in which we understand that we can fill people's potholes while we fill people's hearts. And I echo the words of Madam Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Now, the real work begins to beat the pandemic, to rebuild our economy, to root out systemic racism in our justice system and society, to combat the climate crisis, to heal the soul of our nation. The road ahead will not be easy, but America is ready. And so as we move forward into our future, as we create a city of belonging, let us move forward with courage, wisdom, integrity, and dedication, and most importantly, love. America is ready, and so is San Luis Obispo. And this will be the hardest thing that we have ever done, but we can do hard things. So thank you so much to all of you that showed up and voted, whether you voted for me or not. And I'm really grateful for the city council team that we have moving forward, and so honored and excited to be a leader in this unprecedented time of crisis and change. So thank you for your votes. Thank you for your trust and faith in me, and thank you for your trust and faith in the city of San Luis Obispo. And so now with that, our next item is to appoint a city council member to serve as our new vice mayor for one term. And so I would like to ask the city clerk to please present the report.
Never realized how hard it is to do both of these things at one time. Okay. So, Mayor and Council, the city's charter and council's policies and procedures dictate the annual vice mayor appointment. The city's charter requires that the council elect one of its mayors to serve in the position of vice mayor. The council policies and procedures provides that the appointment be made on a rotational basis, ensuring that each council member will have an opportunity to serve as vice mayor during his or her term. So our recommendation is, in accordance with these policies and procedures, staff recommends that Councilmember Erica A. Stewart be appointed as vice mayor for calendar year 2021. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, City Clerk. Is there any public comment?
No, there is not.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I would.
I'll move staff recommendation or second it, depending.
Let's let
Okay.
Member Marks be the motion maker on this
Thank
first
you.
council meeting back. And Councilmember Stewart, Christensen will be the second. And then with that, City Clerk, please call the vote.
Do I need to recuse myself?
Oh, that's a good call. So, okay.
No.
Okay, just checking.
Councilmember
We're not paying
benefit vice mayor by being vice mayor.
I'm voting
I'm
yes.
sorry. Great.
Right, let's try this one more time. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Marks,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Pease,
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Mayor Herman.
Yes. And with that, it passes 5-0. So welcome, Vice Mayor Stewart.
Thank you.
And that is it. Unless anybody has anything else they would like to say, that is the end of this historic, really, city council meeting. City Manager Johnson, did you have anything that you wanted to add at the end of this?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, just on behalf of the entire staff, we look forward to working with the council, and just want to thank both the returning council members and those that are returning for additional terms, that we look forward to working with you. The staff, stands ready to support this council and our community, and we want to just acknowledge and recognize that we have many challenges ahead. And I do think that if we come together as a community, as a county, and as an organization, we can make amazing inroads on the challenges that we have leading into 2021. So just wanted to express that tonight and look forward to working with you all over the next few years. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I just can't honestly imagine a better city manager to be here in this moment. I just appreciate you so much. And so I'm excited to keep working with you, as I feel like we're sort of the mom and dad of the city. So I hope the city's children feels like they're in good hands with our parentage, I'm going to call it, which I think is maybe not a word, but I feel good about it. All right. And then with that, we will adjourn. And the next city council meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 8th at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. via a teleconference. So with that, I brought my gavel. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, Aaron. Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Aaron.
Bye, Aaron.
Bye.